Good morning, everyone, and thank you all for being with us for our Build Your Business Wednesday event. Today, we have the privilege of listening to Miss Erika Haskins as she delves into how to identify your target customer, problem solution fit, and solution market fit. Erika brings 12 years of experience in K through 12 and higher education, leadership development, and social entrepreneurship. She's a former high school principal, has launched 2 charter schools, spent 5 years coaching education entrepreneurs, and she continues to be a startup enthusiast committed to creating economic opportunity and ensuring economic inclusion for all. She currently serves as CEO of 3-Day Startup in their work to provide entrepreneurship education and training to young people globally. All right. So real quick before we start, please take a note of a few things. At the top of the chat, there are a few links for the Innovation Center, as well as contact information for Ms. Haskins. Our social media handle, website, and email is posted there as well. Also, there's a link to a post-event survey that we would like for you to fill out at the conclusion of the presentation today. Lastly, please remember to mute your mics, and if you have any questions at any time during the presentation, please ask them in the chat and include your email address, just in case we run out of time to respond, and we'll reply via email. So without further ado, please welcome Miss Erika Haskins.
Oh my goodness, I'm so thrilled and I just feel privileged to be here this morning with everyone. Thank you for everyone who's joining and taking time out of their day for what's a really exciting topic for me and for 3-Day Startup. So without further ado, I say we just dive right in. Today we're talking about, target customers and taking a really good idea that has problem solution fit to solution market fit. So taking that solution and really finding where it places best in the market. All right. So before I get started, just a little bit about 3-Day Startup, so you know where I'm coming from and the organization that I'm working with. So 3-Day Startup has run workshops and trainings and programs around the world, and we really focus on both creating opportunity and building community through entrepreneurship education. Our trainings and workshops are focused for entrepreneurs that are at their earliest stages. So that may be you today, or you may be further along with your business, and I certainly hope that you have some meaningful takeaways there. But also, we want everyone to feel like they can engage in entrepreneurship education and think about building a business from the ground up. And we do that with partners across the globe. A lot of really neat things have come out of students and young people and people mid-career that have participated in 3DS programs. These are some of the companies that their founders we've met along our journey, and it's really neat to see the places that they've gone. Many companies have exited, they've gone to accelerators and incubators. They've raised money from institutional investors. Really exciting things. We don't take credit for all of that, but it's fun to know that we got to work with these founders in their earliest stages and their earliest ideas. And even for the individuals that never go on to found a business, we still think it's equally important for people that are pursuing entrepreneurial career pathways to have a full set of entrepreneurship education. And that's what we've seen from many of our students, over 16,000 served, and that number keeps growing, and it's something we're really excited about. Okay. This is me, a little bit about me. You heard my bio. I've worked primarily in education and been in a couple different cities, now in Austin, Texas, also worked in Indianapolis and Boston, Massachusetts. I'm working primarily with public schools and launching public schools and education entrepreneurs that wanted to do work in that space, in the nonprofit space. And I have my MBA from Babson College with a focus on entrepreneurship, entrepreneurial finance, and also social innovation. So that's what I'm bringing to the table today. And here's what we're going to talk about. So a lot of things in early stage entrepreneurship is about finding a really good fit between a problem or an opportunity, right, that you see as an entrepreneur and a solution to meet that need or an unmet need or to step in a gap. We call that problem solution fit. A lot of the work that you do when you're developing a lean canvas, and I'll do a little bit of review of that just in case you haven't, is about finding really good problem solution fit. But ultimately, finding problem solution fit only really takes you to the place of like, this is viable. This could be a business. It's a good idea to pursue and to run with. Today, we want to talk about one of the pieces that moves your solution from just being a good fit with a problem or to meet a need, and a good fit, your solution, a good fit for the market, so that it's a solution you can commercialize, that will attract customers to, that will generate legitimate revenue and sustain. It's important to move ideas to that phase, so that it's not just a viable concept, it's validated by customers. Customers will pay for this. Customers will pay for it more than once, right? A product or a service, and even tell others like, hey, you should check this out. So that's what we're talking about today when we're talking about target market. A little bit of review of the work that people do in the Lean Canvas to identify problem solution fit for a viable concept. So many of you may have seen this, and this is incorporated into a majority of our trainings, and it's the Lean Canvas, right? A framework that helps us evaluate, is there a good fit here? Are there strengths and weaknesses in this idea or this business concept? The cool thing is you do assess both the problem and the solution when you're completing a Lean Canvas, right? So what are problems or needs or things experienced by people? You're working that up in the early stages of a business concept, and then you're also outlining your proposed solution and working through other things to identify, like, is this viable? Like, could this actually stand as a business? And interestingly enough, customers is a part of the Lean Canvas. It's a part of the early thinking of a viable concept. It's like, who would this be built for, right? Who would this be meant for? Now, the Lean Canvas doesn't go into detail very purposely on any of the sections, because again, it's meant to be entrepreneurial and just, really early and blue sky thinking, but there is some thought put into customers in a Lean Canvas, but not to the detail needed to really be able to describe a target market. And that's where we're going today. Okay, so an overview of what I hope we accomplish in our time together today. And I'll be sharing some things, that we discuss and that we share with students. I hope you also bring your knowledge, your insights to the table, because by no means is this a textbook or is this just truth. It's some of what we know and we've seen as an organization, and I want to share that with you. So I hope that you have some takeaways from that content, but I also hope that you have time, and we've built time in to apply some of these things, so that you leave not just with information, but actually with some plans and some action steps for thinking about your target market, and targeting the customers you want for your business, no matter what stage it's in, whether it's very mature or still just in an idea phase. Okay, so our overarching objective is to identify and validate a good market for your product, your service, or maybe it's still just an idea. It's like, how do we articulate where that good market is for your business? We're going to do that in 4 different ways. So we're going to talk about identifying target marketing, target customers. We're going to talk about customer personas, market segmentation, and then customer channels. These top 2 are the most helpful if you are in a very early stage of your business. Your business is just getting started, or perhaps your business is started and going, but you haven't actually put time and thought behind it. This is really important, these top 2 points. If you're in a place where your business is generating revenue, and you're starting to grow, these last 2 bullet points are going to be really applicable for you. Or if you're in an early stage, it's what you're going to be thinking about down the line when you do have success and you want to grow your business and scale it, is market segmentation and channels. But we're going to address all 4 so that you have all 4 in your back pocket to plan and take forward. Any questions or proposed additions to the objectives for the session, so that I can incorporate those into some of the things I talk about and the things we discuss? And Tiffany, I'm going to lean on you to share anything you're hearing in the chat.
Nope, so far no questions, but I am, for people that are coming in late, I'm gonna put a message in the chat just to let them know that they can put their questions there. And as soon as I say that, I get a question. Okay.
Okay.
They're asking if customer discovery is included in this.
You hopefully have done some customer discovery when you are identifying problem solution fit. So I'll be sure to incorporate how that is in addition to this content. Great question. Thank you for that. Customer discovery. Anything else? Please drop in the chat. Tiffany knows she's just going to interrupt me and cut me off. I do. Your questions mean a lot. I want to answer them real time. So don't hold anything back. All right. So let's identify and let's define what we're talking about in a target market. And you may have some idea, but let's put a concrete definition behind it. So when we say target market for a business, it's a very specific group of consumers for whom your solution, your product, or your service is designed specifically for them and with them in mind. So you're very clear on who they are, the problems that they're facing, or what their needs are. And you know this, or you're starting to identify this because of what you've done in customer discovery. So let me bring in that customer discovery piece in this next slide. So people say like, okay, well, I've done some customer discovery. I have an idea in my opportunity space what people need or what the gaps are or what they're dissatisfied with. So great. That's kind of the foundation for identifying your target market, is reflecting back to what have you heard and who resonated with your ideas the most in customer discovery. So if you're still conducting customer discovery, know that those interviews, those questions, those insights are laying the foundation for your target market. All right. So the people that, again, are really responding to your idea, taking to that and giving you great feedback, that's the foundation for who your target market's going to be. If you're a business with actual paying customers right now, pay attention to that. Who are the people and what are the shared characteristics of people that are coming back either to your service or buying your product over and over? Think about it, like who's walking in the shop or who's purchasing things online. Do you have data for that? It's really important to know, and it can help you clarify who your target market is. Here's another piece. Again, if you're in the early stages, look at businesses similar to yours. Competition is not the worst thing in the world. Obviously, businesses compete. That's just the way the world works. It's important to pay attention to, like, okay, well, if I have this product offering, where are there similar product offerings, and who is drawn to those product offerings and why? Because that gives you insight into your target market. Tiffany, do we have questions? I'm watching the chat.
We don't have any questions.
No questions. Cool. You're going to cut me off. I trust you.
Yeah.
Appreciate that. Okay. And then lastly, and this is contrary sometimes to what entrepreneurs want to do, you may want to do some research to identify your target market, and also thinking forward about who your customers will be in the future. You may want to do some research on market trends and forecasting about the types of customers that you've talked to in customer discovery, the type of customers that are buying your product right now, the customers that are going to your competition. Some research at this stage is important. Entrepreneurs can't stay in a research phase forever, right? Entrepreneurship is about action, not just researching and planning. It's about taking moves, but taking those moves with solid insight and solid information is important too. So there are things that you can research. Here are two things I think you should consider, and we're going to do some crafting of your target market in a second. So to get more clear on who your target market is, you should consider and even select, right, as you narrow, specific demographics to target. So when we think of demographics like age range, right? Perhaps it's gender. It may be the types of professional roles that people have. And then also you want to consider the values of your target customers. Like, what do they believe? What do they respond to? What do they aspire to in terms of lifestyle or education or just anything? Like, what do they hope for and want as a part of defining your target market? So given all of this information, we're not going into deep research. We're just going to do a quick like brain dump. And I want you to drop your responses in the chat. And I'm going to take a look at the chat right now too. I would love for you to share, no matter what stage it's in, your business concept, and give me a description of who you think your target market is right now and where you got that info. So 3 things. Give me some idea what your business concept is, who you think your target market is, and what has led you to that so far. I'm going to monitor the chat because I want to get to know you too. So let's put 2 minutes on the clock and go ahead and do that. Share with me your business concept, who you think your target market is, and where you're getting that info. Okay, we've had 2 minutes. Totally fine if you're still thinking. Akusia, I'm going to turn it over to you. You know, from what you've seen at the Innovation Center, could you share? Oh, this is an awesome example. We're going to get to that too. Could you share some examples of like the concept you've seen and how it lines up with the target market?
Are you referring to the type of clients we serve?
Yeah, that would be great.
Yes. So at the Innovation Center, we typically have clients that come from service-based businesses.
Okay.
We also have clients that have technology ideas, and we personally have a goal of getting clients into new markets, so untapped markets, and creating new markets for themselves. How this fit is that we had to do the same thing that any startup would do in the beginning. We had to identify and understand where most of our customers are so we can provide the right services. Initially, I typically have lots of energy around technology ideas, but we found that most of our customers are not in tech. So we had to rethink how we serve our customers based on where they are.
Yep. Thank you for that. And I've got some people sharing in the chat as well. Awesome. So I think, and I want to pronounce it right, Imran has a really clear, like he knows his target market and how it matches with his business concept. And I love this. So a food tracking startup, like a kind of a diet tracking system, probably maybe in an app form, maybe another form. And it's people that are health conscious, they're busy, and they need something really easy, like an easy tool. These are excellent. Outstanding. It's clear to me as I'm reading through this that you, oh, wow. So Lavon knows residents ages 30. She knows an age range. Black women looking to lose weight, refocus their lifestyles. Very exciting. So that's getting even more specific and really being clear about this is my target market, and who, thank you, and who I'm targeting through my business concept. Awesome. Okay. Thank you for doing that. Feel free to continue to contribute if you're sitting with business concepts and you still want to share. I would love to read those. So let's though move on to sometimes target markets. The first stab we take at articulating a target market, or what I've seen with some of the younger entrepreneurs that we work with, is it's still really, really big. It still seems like, well, that's a really big group of people, and I'm having trouble getting specific with it. Well, there's this really neat tool, and it's one of my favorite things to do, called creating a customer persona. And it is so valuable for a business, for an entrepreneur to be able to create one of these. It's also really fun because of how clear you get about what your company does, why it exists, and who you're trying to serve or meet their needs. So again, let's put a definition behind this. This is what a customer persona is. Sometimes it's also called a buyer persona. You kind of make up a fictional character. So you make up a fictional customer that represents the key traits of your target market and your customer base. Okay, so a storybook character that kind of goes through life very similar to the ways that your customer does. Personas are based on data, qualitative or quantitative, right? That you've collected from research, and research could be your earliest customer discovery. That's, again, we said that was foundational, and that is research. We develop personas also through looking at market trends. That's very helpful. Or, in your early sales, seeing where you had the most traction and with what, age groups, types of people, what interests they had. That's also research, just kind of insights you got from early sales, all can feed into developing a customer persona. Okay. So here's a sample. I want to show people a sample and give you a minute to look at this, because it's really got a lot to it, of a sample customer persona. And this is someone who is going to be a home buyer. Okay. So I'll give you a second to take a look at all of this. There's a lot here. And I would just love you to just drop your thoughts in the chat. So like, as you read through this persona and all the detail that includes, what does it make you think about? What is it making you think about for your business, or for you creating a persona for your business or for your idea? Share your thoughts in the chat, because I would love to hear those. Yeah. Mike, I think you're spot on. One thing I will say is, yes, very specific, very in detailed, because it's fictional, right? Ms. Jordan Young doesn't exist. She's made up. I wouldn't call them conclusions. I'd say they're assumptions, right? Or just generalizations. They're trying to give her a character in this persona. And again, they're giving her these descriptors or these characters based on other home buyers that they've seen. Yes, John. Now, this is a very in-depth persona, which is exciting. And I hope that all of you get to that place for your business. I think we should just start, and it would be fun to take a couple minutes and sketch like a lean persona. And so I got a template from the internet. I think it's perfect as a place to start. So let's start for you with a lean persona. All right. So you don't need to go grab a photo, but it is fun to do that, right? And show people like a face with all the descriptors. But you guys started this with your target market. What are some of the demographic information you know about this one person? So earlier we talked about Hampton Road residents age 30 to 55. The difference between that description and the lean persona is this is for one person. So a demographic kind of info piece would be age 35 years old, lives in Norfolk, Virginia. Okay. You know, married with 2 kids, those types of things. Very specific for
Erika,
one person.
real quick, I have a question. I'm sorry.
Yeah, go for it.
Imran, I'm sorry if I mispronounced your name, would like to know, so you group together the customers close to this persona into Jordan, regarding like in relation to outliers.
Right. Yep. So kind of just the central tendencies. You're exactly right that it doesn't represent everybody totally. It just represents a lot of the customers of that business. That's why they put that persona together. Really great question. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to let people just sit with for a minute. And I'm going to be quiet, and then I'm going to come back and share why doing this lean persona thing can be really helpful for your business, not just identifying your target market, but for your whole business. So I'm gonna be quiet for a minute to let you think and sketch, and then I'm going to come back in. So one of the things that can happen at the early stages of a business is we think that the larger the target market is, the better, right? Because the more potential customers there are. What can happen when you're trying to get as large of a target market as possible is you're not really clear on, you know, it's harder to be clear on who you exist to serve, what their specific needs are, and how you specifically can meet those needs through your product, through your service, and your business evolution. And creating a persona, while to Imran's point, which was very insightful, is not fully representative of all your customers, and it's not meant to be. It's kind of gives a story for people that work for you, or the people you're explaining your business to potentially, of this is who we're trying to serve, right? Generally speaking. And it gives clarity to your business, and it can give purpose to your business in identifying these personas. Now, and I love that Imran brought this up, as businesses grow, or sometimes in the early stages, I'll talk to students that are like, wait, there are some very distinct personas, right? And it's not everybody in between. It's this interesting group of people come to my business, and this very different group of people visit my business. And then there's this offshoot over here. I think there's 3. I have 3 personas. Erika, what happens? What should I do? And it's like, great. That absolutely can happen, especially as businesses grow. You'll have different personas as you have more products, right? So let's say you start with a small product line and you grow the number and the variety of products that you have. You expand the services that you can provide. Maybe you integrate product and services. You absolutely will add personas. And then we step to a more mature phase of identifying a target market, and that's called segmentation. So when we start being able to craft personas that really do fit the customers that are coming to our business, we need to start to segment them, okay? And there's 4 ways that, again, at 3DS, we recommend that people segment them or think about their groups of customers or grouping their customer personas. So those would be demographic, psychographic, which is a big word, geographic, and behavioral. And we're going to break each of those down. So kind of like what we said before in identifying the target market, segmenting our customer base by demographic indicators or demographic information is really helpful. By age, their ethnicity, their income, their profession, perhaps their religion, if that applies, and it's important. Psychographic just means how they see the world. What do they do with their time? What are their personality traits, even their hobbies? What do they value? It is important to kind of cluster those as a part of market segmentation. And then the last 2, geographic, more obvious, like where are they located? And geography can be in a city, in a region, in a zip code, or a neighborhood. Kind of depends on what your business, and then behavioral, which is one thing that we haven't talked about. So how do they spend their money? What are their purchasing habits? Do they get really attached to brands or not? Attached to services or not? How do your customers behave? And you can start to group then your customers based on these types of different information. And what that then leads to, the question is, like, what do we do when we start to segment and cluster our customers? Is to devise channels. So when you know your customer base really, really well, you have maybe just one persona or you have multiple personas, you are really clear on the demographic information that describes them, where they are, how they think, how they buy, how they behave. Channels identify how we reach them, right? For advertising, for promotions, to engage them or just share about our work. How we communicate unique value proposition, especially when we have different customer personas. The unique value proposition of your business might be different just a little bit, right? For each one of those personas. And it's important to think about that, right? There may be a different appeal for whatever your product or services is for different personas. And you want to speak to that when you're speaking to them. And then lastly, again, as I mentioned, businesses grow and product lines are added and changed, and some of them are for specific audiences. And so when you're good at segmenting your customer base, right, within your target market, you know which customers you're trying to target with very specific products or services that would be a really good fit for them and for their needs, because it's what you know and what they've told you. So those are the market segmentation and identifying customer channels are kind of the 2 biggest, highest level steps of identifying target market, and not just identifying it, but acting on it. Okay, so I want to hear from you in the chat, just answers to some of these questions. So as we've thought about and we've worked through how you can think about target market and getting your products and services in front of the right people and knowing your customers, what is your next action step? What support and resources do you think you need? And questions that you have to move forward, right, with this information and really add value to your business. Feel free to drop them in the chat. I would love that. Or at this point, Tiffany, I don't know if people can jump in and ask questions. We also can do Q&A live. I would love that too.
Yeah. If you would like, that's perfectly fine. People can unmute and go ahead and ask a question.
Mike's on it. Mike has clear next steps. Clarifying the target market, which, yep, it's not good to just say it applies to everybody. Everybody can benefit with research and develop personas. Great. Personas is a great activity. I think it's a good exercise for anybody to do. And I don't think you do it just once. I think you come back to it and you do it year after year to just, keep yourself on top of like, who are my customers? How are they thinking? And what do I need to do as a business based on this persona? Awesome. Agreed, Mike. I also want to turn it over to Akusia because again, this is a lot of insight that we've seen at 3DS, and we're working with, mostly entrepreneurs that are like 16 to 24, younger in very early stages. Does this match, some of the work that you see entrepreneurs doing at the Innovation Center, in people growing their businesses, or are there other things that you see as well that we should be considering?
Yeah, this definitely matches with the concepts that we're trying to push out on people, especially that are at the ideation stage. And
Yeah.
even this COVID period, we've had many people that wants to revisit this stage because it takes them back to everything. And like you said, this affects every part of your business model. So we've had people that are making sales or profitable, have already received funding, that have come back to this stage. We've also had people that wants to do something else or add a second product that they've also had to revisit this stage.
Yep. And I'm glad that you said that, because then it makes me start thinking about how identifying target market is an ongoing thing, right? So you make a decision to start so that you can take action as an entrepreneur and let it inform you, but you're constantly coming back to it and revisiting it and iterating on it, because that is pivoting, right? Sometimes pivoting isn't what you're creating or what you're designing, but sometimes it's who it's for, or just in a little different way. But staying customer focused is the best way to position yourself to be able to pivot well. And these are some of the activities inside of that.
I definitely agree. Mike said, I like how the persona helped develop the message for each target market. Very true. Agreed. It also affects the channels that you will use for social media. It affects packaging. It affects every component of your business.
That's exactly right. Exactly right. This is a big topic. This is, we've shared a lot in a short amount of time, and by no means is it exhaustive, but what I hope it is something, again, to just get you started, right? To get you started on the next step that leads to a second step and keeps your business or your idea moving forward. The work never ends. I'm just going to conclude with, this was so much fun for me to be here. Thank you for your time. I know everyone's time is valuable. Thank you for having me. The Innovation Center is doing such great things. 3DS is a huge supporter of that always. I would love for anyone to connect with me, reach out on LinkedIn. If you're more interested in what 3-Day Startup is doing, the organization is way more exciting and great things coming down the line. We've got a website and then social media. We'd love for you to engage with us and connect there.
We would like to thank Erika so much for taking the time to present this important information this morning. Thank you all for coming today, and we hope to see you at our next event, which will take place on April 28th at 10 a.m. Again, thank you all for attending, and everyone have a good day.